721-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boy, does it smell good.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
That's good.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this rainy Thursday. Hope you're attempting to stay dry. We're working towards the weekend and fired up to be here for the next 2 hours on the Hunt Palmer Show. Luke Johnson talking Saints as they get ready for their opener in 15 minutes. LSU football using iPads on the sideline. We talked to some players about it yesterday. I've got some thoughts on that and a little sound from them. Best win and worst loss in college football in the NFL coming up. My picks for the NFL season to come. And Matt Schumacher is going to join us at 2:30. Who's Matt Schumacher? Well, Matt Schumacher is going to be on the call for LSU and Nichols coming up on Saturday. I got a text message from my first cousin I've got a great relationship with. He grew up in St. Louis, and he lives out in Denver now. And he said, hey, my buddy from growing up is calling the LSU game. Can you have him on your show? I said, sure. And this is a very, very small world because that's not that close to here. And for a first cousin of mine to have a great relationship with the guy that's actually calling the game on Saturday was just an odd coincidence to me. But we'll talk to Matt coming up at 2:30. Looking forward to that. If you've been listening to the show for 3 years now, as we get into things, you know that I enjoy leaning on beat writers to kind of read the emotion of players and coaches. They see them multiple times a week. They're there with some one-on-one interviews at times, and they get things that you can't necessarily get from a full coach's press conference or just analyzing and watching the game. And that's why I have Luke on every week. That's why I have Sharif on every week. That's why I have Glenn West on every week. That's why we have beat reporters on the show, because they give a little bit of a different perspective from those of us who are just watching the game and then talking about it, or just, you know, going on and doing what you do professionally, whatever that may be. And I enjoy that piece of it. And I have not been an LSU beat reporter in terms of writing and being there day to day since 2013. So it's been a minute. And I'm getting back into that now with LouisianaSports.net. And this segment that I'm getting into right now is not going to break any news. It's not going to unearth any unbelievable statistics or trends. It's not going to be some sort of earth-shattering revelation by this intrepid beat reporter, Hunt Palmer, who's now sitting here on the show. But it is a little bit of a different perspective than I have gotten since I've been sitting in this chair. Because, and let's just be honest, like, this fan base, my listenership, which overlaps a good bit, was pretty bummed out on Sunday night. And pretty bummed out on Monday for Labor Day weekend, and pretty bummed out on Tuesday when they went back to work. And quite frankly, Saturday coming up is a little bit sullied because of a fifth straight season opening loss. There are no two ways about that. I don't know any LSU fan that's jumping for joy about this football team right now after losing a season opener to USC. We all understand that the playoff is expanded. We all understand there is some margin for error. We all understand that Brian Kelly's teams have improved. But still, in college football, when you lose a game, it is a big, big deal. And we understand in this era of college football, where you can transfer in and out and money's a big consideration, and there are a lot of things that are on players' minds other than, man, let me go put on the old chin strap for Old State U and get a dub this weekend. Like, there are a lot of things going on. There's social media and NIL opportunities and all that kind of stuff that can be a distraction. And we've seen teams fracture, not just at LSU, just across the country, because things aren't great, culture's not great, teams are losing, and that can be a tough deal. And when you overlay those two things that I'm talking about, a fan base that's super bummed in an era where there's a lot of distraction, like, it's easy to paint a picture of a team that may not be completely focused or may be in a bad headspace. And so last night, we got a chance as beat writers and as television people locally here to chat with Mason Taylor, Whit Weeks, and Savion Jones. And I will just tell you, in my personal experience, those conversations were pretty uplifting to me. Y'all all know that I'm an LSU supporter. I'm an alum. I'm a fan. I'm just not going to hide from that. There were times early in my professional career where I was writing for Bayou Bengals Insider where I would say, if I'm an LSU fan, or I would keep things off Twitter that were pro-LSU and just try to do the straight and narrow beat reporter job. And I heard Scott Van Pelt say one day, like, everybody's from somewhere. It's cool. And then I listened to ESPN Chicago a lot, especially when it's in Cubs season. And those guys are all Cubs and White Sox and Bears fans, and they don't hide from that. And so I was like, well, that's fine. Like, I can do this job, and I don't have to hide from that. And I don't hide from that at all. And so I walk in there doing my job. I'm getting quotes, and we're going to play some of them later on in the show. And I wrote some things for LouisianaSports.net today that are up. But I also walk in there as a little bit of a fan. And the conversation, the tone that those guys had was so positive and so energetic. Like, they're not that bummed out. And I mean that in a really good way. I don't mean that saying like, oh, they don't care, they lost, and they don't give a rip. I mean, they're like, yeah, we hate that we lost. Like, they asked Whit Weeks, like, you know, do you think the defense played pretty better? He's like, well, we lost, so that's not a good thing. But, like, and then he had a big smile on his face, and he was talking about, you know, all the things that they did that were better, and some of the things that he enjoyed, and some of the things that they did well. And then, you know, we're talking to Savion Jones, and he was like, yeah, I mean, we lost. And then he started talking about some of the things that he did, and he had a great game on Sunday, probably his best game as a Tiger. But they were all talking about getting back to work, going to practice. They're excited to get inside Tiger Stadium, excited to continue on the rest of the season. And so, like, I didn't talk to all 85 scholarship guys. I didn't talk to all 110 players that are on the roster, or whatever the case may be. I didn't talk to every single coach. And those guys do know that they're going up in front of the media and have to put on, you know, a certain kind of front day in and day out. But their attitude was great yesterday. And that's something that I've never really been able to share with you on the air because I'm not there at player interviews. Well, now I am, and we'll have some more, you know, context for some of the quotes that we get and we play and we run with. But I was just like, you know, man, kids are really resilient. They're young, they're a little bit naive, and they're having a blast. I mean, how many people listening here, like, college was an incredible time in your life? Like, it is. It's fun. And those guys have an opportunity to play on this huge stage and got an opportunity to play in front of 100,000 people and fly charter to Las Vegas and play on national television against USC. And, like, there's a lot of really good things. But losing sucks. And losing takes the air out of balloons. And so as I sit here and I'm kind of analyzing things and I'm thinking, like, these guys could really be disheartened. Because, I mean, we heard Will Campbell last week talk about how, like, he's sick of losing openers and they're going out there for a business trip and they're going to get into a fist fight and the whole deal. And we've talked about all that. But you could take that attitude and just be completely dejected by the fact that you lost the opener. And I just got the exact opposite feeling from those guys last night. And I walked out of LSU ops and I thought about the stories that I would write based on the quotes that I got. And I also was thinking to myself, you know, man, those guys are fired up to play on Saturday. Sunday's still burned in my brain now because last week was Sunday. Those guys are fired up to play on Saturday. And truth be told, they could go out there ticked off, disinterested, and completely unfocused and ill-prepared, and they would still beat Nicholls by 40 points on Saturday because Nicholls cannot compete with LSU. It's just not possible physically. But it gives me hope that they're going to go to Columbia, South Carolina next week, and they're going to be fired up and ready to play. If they can win that game, they're going to come home and they're going to play UCLA and they're going to be fired up and ready to play that game. And all of a sudden, you can create some momentum. And again, going back to the beginning of the segment, like, Brian Kelly's first team did this at LSU. They lost the first game and then they played really well. I mean, Tennessee had their way with them. That was a good Tennessee team, but they never let go of the rope. And last year, you had just a gut punch of a loss as well and came out and played great against Mississippi State a couple weeks later. So, again, the point of this opening segment is not to unearth some statistic you were completely unaware of. It's not to break news that you were unaware of. It's just a vibe that I picked up in a spot that none of you are in, unless one of the beat writers is actually listening to the show right now. And I wrote a story today on iPads, and we're going to talk about iPads a little bit later. And I talked to Savion Jones for a little bit, and we talked about his production. But the point of this opening segment is nothing more than to just suggest, we're all super bummed punching the time clock on Tuesday morning that LSU lost. those that made the trip. It put a sour ending on what was probably a great weekend for you and those that you went up there with. And that stings to all the LSU fans that happened. And it absolutely stings to that team as well. There's no question. But a few days later, on Wednesday night, after practice, in football ops, talking to the beat writers, like Whit Weeks had a huge smile on his face, ready to play. Couldn't wait to get back out there. Savion Jones was so excited about some of the things that he was able to do in that game. And Mason Taylor was a little bit more stoic than those two guys, but certainly talking about getting better and talking about the trust he had in Garrett Nussmeier. And like the whole vibe I picked up from that session was not dejection. It was good energy, good positivity, and I think a team that's ready to keep playing and get better. It's a long season, but these losses sting far more than a college baseball loss stings. They sting far more than a college basketball loss stings. They put you kind of one step away from losing your goals for the season, and you're only 4 quarters in. But I was given a little bit of shot of life by talking to the guys yesterday about the future of this particular team. Not necessarily the program moving forward, just talking about this team. They seemed to be in pretty good spirits last night, so I thought that was pretty cool. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Rouse's. Rouse's, of course, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. If you're going out to tailgate on Saturday, it should be an unbelievable weather day for LSU fans. If you're putting a game-watching party together for the New Orleans Saints or you're tailgating for the Saints game, Rouse's needs to be your one-stop shop. They got all kinds of ice, all kinds of drinks, got tons of tailgating trays and platters, all the food and beverages you could possibly need over there at Rouse's. So whether you're down in New Orleans getting ready to tailgate or you're right here in the Baton Rouge area, there's a Rouse's location near you. Make sure you stop by before you do all of your tailgating. Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. We'll come back with Luke Johnson coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is that website. Talked to Mitchell Fisher earlier today. He was not here in Baton Rouge. He was actually up in Denver at a conference. They're kind of learning some of the cutting-edge stuff that goes into audio and video. You can tell that I don't know what that kind of stuff is, but that's why I called Mitchell Fisher in Audio Video Security Solutions, and he came over and showed me all the capabilities they had, and then we decided what we wanted to do to move forward. So if you're like me, and you have no idea what's possible in the audio space, no idea what's possible in the video or security spaces, Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions, they're always on the cutting edge. That's why they're doing the things like they're doing this week. They were the People's Choice Award winner for Best Vendor at the Parade of Homes earlier this year, and there's a reason for that. They're fantastic at what they do. The installation process was seamless for us. The customer service after the installation has been fantastic for us. Give them a call for your audio needs, for your video needs, for your security needs. It's all there in the company name. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them on Instagram at AVSS_BR. And you can certainly find them online at that website I give you every single day. It's Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Saints season cranking up Sunday in the Dome. It'll be the New Orleans Saints hosting the Carolina Panthers, who were the worst team in the league last year. The Saints really need to get off to a good start against Carolina. They'll do it in what should be a pretty good crowd for the home opener, the season opener there. And we know that the schedule gets pretty quick. It gets tough pretty quick after the Saints and Panthers on Sunday in the Dome. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for The Advocate, joins us every single Thursday, does so now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how we doing?
Hey, buddy, I'm doing great.
Glad to hear it. Let's see. I mean, it's a pretty obvious question, but, like, how big is this game on Sunday for New Orleans?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's huge. Like, you look at their first, 5, 6, 7 games you can even go. It has potential to get really, really ugly if they don't win this game. And I think if they don't win this game, it is going to get really ugly immediately, right? I mean, I think the fan base is, the vibes are really, really bad. I'll just put it that way. And if they lost to the Panthers in week 1, the team that had the worst record in the NFL last year, I mean, it could get really, really ugly around here really quickly. So I think they've got to get out and kind of start fast this season and build some positive momentum toward good vibes before they start kind of going on this early season gauntlet that they have where they play the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Chiefs, 3 teams that a lot of people have in the playoffs, like in the preseason projections. So, yeah, it's huge, man. There's no getting around it.
I realize that everybody wants to see the Saints offense on Sunday because that's the new toy. But, I mean, to me, it's on the Saints defense to make sure that Carolina just can't get anything going with an offense that showed no ability to do that last year. I realize there's a new head coach there, and he's going to be handling a lot of the play calling. But, I mean, do you feel like the Saints just need to lean on that defense in week 1?
Yes and no. I mean, I think just because a lot of the bad feelings around this team are kind of centered around the offense and just the way it's kind of underperformed since Sean Payton's left. Even looking just zeroing in on this season, a lot of people are feeling really bad about the offensive line going into the game. So I do think that they need to go out there and have at least a solid performance against what I think is probably going to be kind of a bad Panthers defense. I mean, they've got a couple good players. And Jadeveon Clowney's kind of resurrected his career late in his career. Did it last year in Baltimore. He's in Carolina now. Derek Brown's a really good interior player. You got J.C. Horn on the outside, but they lost a lot of talent too. They lost Frankie Louvu, who's been just like a Saints killer over his career. They lost Brian Burns, obviously. They just don't have a lot of juice on that defense. So I think they have to have a good showing this week. But you're right, though. I mean, I think this team's hopes are going to hinge on its defense. Because I think based on what I've seen in the preseason, I feel really good about them. I think they're strong at 10 out of the 11 positions. And I think their pass rush is going to be better this year. I think their run defense is going to be better. You're going to probably see some regression in areas like turnovers and whatnot, but I think they can make up for it in other areas. So, I do think they need to go out there and prove that they still belong in that conversation as one of the NFL's best defenses, because last year they fell out of it.
You said 10 of 11 positions. I'm assuming you're talking about the safety spot opposite Tyrann Mathieu, where Jordan Howden was listed as the starter. You just don't feel great about that spot?
Yeah, not really. But I don't think it's that big of an issue. Like I think if your weak spot is at safety, at one of your two starting safety spots, you can kind of cover that up a little bit. It's a lot better than having like a weak spot as an edge rusher, or somebody's going to have a huge impact on the game, or at linebacker where somebody can make like some take advantage of some mismatches. I think it's harder to do that with a safety. And I don't think that like Jordan Howden or Will Harris, I would actually kind of lean toward Will Harris being the starter for this game. I don't think that either of those guys are bad players. They're just not up to the caliber of the rest of the defense. So, if you're looking at a weak link, that's definitely where it is. But again, I just don't think it's going to be big enough of an issue to kind of sink this defense. It's like one weak link in the chain is not going to be enough to break it.
All right, let's talk about the offense. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it would shock me if the Saints' offensive line came out and just straight up dominated. And so let's talk about the offensive plan to help that offensive line. How do they do that?
Well, I think first and foremost, they're going to run the hell out of the football. I think that's one thing that despite this offensive line kind of struggling in pass protection, which has kind of been a consistent theme throughout training camp and even preseason games, I think they have really figured out this running scheme, and I think it fits their backs. Alvin Kamara specifically, and then when you talk about Taysom Hill having maybe a bigger and more expanded role in this offense, I think it fits him too. So I think they can take some of the pressure off of Derek Carr in that way, because I think it's going to be so much better than what it was last season. And then they can build so much off of the run game. They can build their screen game off of it. They can build their play action and bootleg game off of it. And, kind of make the quarterback a little bit more of a moving target as opposed to that kind of static figure in the pocket as they have been. So, you can see an avenue for this offense still being successful, even if the offensive line is either well below average or kind of near the bottom of the league. I still think they're going to be okay there. It's just they can't get in a lot of situations where they're trying to convert 3rd and 9, like they did last year. And I think they'll be better in that regard.
Let's talk about wide receiver. After Olave and Shaheed, that's kind of where the discussion starts. What do you know today as we get ready for Sunday?
I think Cedric Wilson's going to be a solid number 3 option for this team. I don't think it's going to be like a high volume sort of role he has. But like I said, I mean, they're going to run the football a lot. And I think, he has experience in that type of scheme. You saw him do it in Miami for a couple of years. He's a big body who knows how to block, and he's willing to block. And he's a solid, unspectacular number 3 receiving option. One of the guys I'm really interested in seeing, though, is Mason Tipton. He's somebody who's kind of a surprise in the 53 because we didn't even get to see him in the preseason. But, for the first 2 weeks of training camp, he was making plays every single day. So I'm curious if that's still there. He's small. He's 5'9", 180 pounds. He played at an Ivy League school, so, I don't think we should be expecting a ton out of him. But I think we can expect, maybe a chance at a big play here and there, and he can be a really solid 4th receiving option for him. That's not even getting into what Alvin Kamara is as a pass catcher, what Juwan Johnson is as a pass catcher. I think they're going to scheme up some easy plays to Taysom Hill in the passing game. So I think the receiving options I feel pretty good about, even if there's 2 guys who are obvious top targets in this offense.
I don't really want to go here, but I'm going to do it anyway. If they don't score on their first 3 offensive drives, is there a risk of that dome kind of flipping on them like they did in Detroit, or is that going to take a little bit more time?
No. People are ready to hate on this team, man.
Okay, that's great.
I mean, at least look. it's social media. It is what it is, and it's kind of a lot of times it's just amplifying one side or another. So maybe it's not as rough out in these streets as it feels like. But I swear if I said like, hey, Derek Carr is going to go out there and throw for 35 touchdowns and 4,500 yards this year, are you comfortable with him as your quarterback going into 2025? And like, probably 60% of the responses, maybe more, would be like, hell no, get him off the team. I hate him. Don't want him. So like, I just think that the Saints fan base is in such a mode right now where it's just like angry at everything. And it's just ready to kind of blow the lid at the first opportunity. So we'll see if I'm wrong. I mean, like I'm hoping to get off to a fast start in this game, just so Twitter's not like an abysmal place for me for 4 hours on Sunday. But
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Look, I don't know how The Athletic came up with this, but they wrote a thing and it had like this optimism index, and like the Lions were at the top and the Bears were pretty close up there, and the Saints were dead last. I don't know who they polled. I don't know how they came up with it, but it does make some sense that like there was only like 4% of Saints fans that were super optimistic, and like the teams that are kind of on the come or towards the top of it. And I'm assuming that's kind of the vibes you're getting based on what you're telling us.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at that, and I was having a conversation with somebody this morning. Like the vibes out in like Tampa are really good right now, and the vibes here are terrible. And if you go back and just like look at last year, like they finished with the exact same record. The Saints had a better scoring offense, comparable scoring defense. Their quarterback had a higher quarterback rating. Their advanced metrics were better, and everybody here is like, God, that team sucked. I hate them so much. Everybody in Tampa is like, yeah, I think we won the division. We won a playoff game. We're feeling pretty good about it. It's like, those teams were exactly like identical teams last year, but I think the expectations here are just so different. And on top of that, there's just like this like weird cultural thing where people just haven't liked the quarterback, and it's or the head coach, and it's making them just kind of have that negative feeling towards the team, and nothing's going to change that unless they really, really go out there and beat a lot of these preseason expectations.
You think they win on Sunday?
I do think they win on Sunday. I've seen some people say the Panthers are going to be better this year, which like is going to be hard not to be better than they were last year. But I still think there's just like such a talent deficiency on that roster. Dave Canales would have to really scheme up something crazy, and the Saints obviously had 2 games against them last year with Tampa. So I just don't see it happening for Carolina. But like, it's got to happen for the Saints this week. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really bad around here for a week.
People think the LSU defense is going to be better this year, and they gave up 350 yards and lost the game, and they were better. So that's kind of where you are with Carolina. They might be better, but they're still not going to be great. That's kind of the vibes. We'll be reading on Sunday. Pack your coat for the Dome, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, buddy. Thanks.
Luke Johnson with The Advocate on Twitter @ByLukeJohnson for all your Saints coverage. We always appreciate his conversations coming up on Thursdays. So appreciate him, and we'll talk with him again next week. Hopefully the Saints are 1-0. We'll talk a little bit more about them as the show goes along. Thursday shows are brought to you by Rouse's. When we come back, Sunday was the first time that the LSU team could use iPads on the sideline, and we talked to West Weeks about it. We talked to Mason Taylor about it, and there's very different ways that they're using it on offense, defense, and special teams as well. So we got some sound there, and I'll kind of add some color to what we talked about them, because I thought it was a kind of a fascinating conversation. So we'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. 40 years. It's all about peace of mind. Boudreaux's Electrical. They're a certified Generac generator dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. That means they're in the top 3% nationwide. And they give you peace of mind to know that you're not going to lose power. Whether it's a hurricane that comes through, one of those nasty afternoon storms, an ice storm, whatever the case may be, somebody just drives off the road and hits a pole. You won't lose your power because your generator will kick on and you'll be up and running. I know a lot of folks work from home these days. You're not going to be very productive if the power goes out. Not going to be very comfortable either. It's going to get real hot real quick. Prevent that with a Generac home standby generator from the folks over at Boudreaux's Electrical. Every single generator that they sell you comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty on that generator. So you got peace of mind of knowing you're not going to lose power for 7 to 10 years. They also monitor your generator remotely 24/7. So that if something goes wrong, whether it needs to kick into action or not, they'll know about it. They'll call you, say, hey, something's up with your generator. Let's come fix it, so that when you do need it to come on, it is springing into action. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. You can call them at 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562. Visit them online, boudreauxelectrical.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Hope y'all are staying safe and dry out there. Nasty, nasty day here in South Louisiana. Just kind of a big clump of green sitting over the entire southern portion of the state, just raining all day long. But it's going to bring some cooler temperatures with it. Tomorrow's going to be another kind of a washout. But I'll tell you this, you're looking at a high on Saturday for game day of 85 degrees.
First home game? I mean, that's...
Look, you know me. I don't complain about hot, correct?
No, you do not.
I do not complain about hot. I have worn shorts to the first game because we sit in that trailer outside for the pregame show and just cook.
Yeah.
And I did it 3 years ago, and I was like, there's one game a year I'm going to wear shorts. And I asked Chris, Blair, I was like, hey, can I wear shorts? He was like, yeah, fine, it's cool. And I after that, I go to pants. But, like, I've worn shorts. I'm going to wear pants on Saturday because 85 degrees is fine. I can do 85 degrees in pants. The 97 degrees when we come on at 3:30 p.m. and sit in that pressure cooker of a trailer, the pants weren't working. I was sweating through them on my knees. It looked ridiculous. I can't do it. I'll wear pants on Saturday. 85 degrees should be incredible tailgating weather. So we'll we'll look forward to that coming up on Saturday, even though the next 2 days not super awesome from a weather perspective. But again, if y'all are out there on the roads, hope you're staying safe and reasonably dry. We had a conversation yesterday, as I talked about at the top of the show, with Savion Jones and Whit Weeks and Mason Taylor, and got into the usage of the iPads with Whit Weeks and Mason Taylor. And if you're not aware, this is the first year that you can use an iPad on the sideline in college football. The SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten have allowed that. In fact, even though other conferences haven't allowed that, we saw an instance where an FCS team played a power conference team and bought them just for that game, and now they can't use it when they go back to their regular schedule. So the rules are a little bit wonky, but in every game that LSU plays in, you can use these iPads. And y'all are familiar, you watch the NFL, Peyton Manning going through the still photos that he wants to look at, and then you got Tom Brady slamming the Microsoft Surfaces on the sideline and all that. This is that coming to college football, and you can go ahead and check out the iPad between series. And so the first guy that we talked to about it was Mason Taylor, and we're not going to cut it up into bites for Mason. We'll just kind of play the back and forth between Mason and the reporters to kind of get a feel for how the offense was going through the iPads on Sunday night.
Every position group should have an iPad, so if I wanted to see something about the run game, I can go walk over to the O-line and hear what they had to say about it or whatever, or I can go to the quarterbacks over there and see, oh, look, Nuss, this guy bailed or whatever. So you can kind of just bounce around, but yeah, everyone has an iPad.
Are there coaches that are like coaching y'all, or just the players are looking and talking?
The coaches, yeah, the coaches they're talking to us, but I mean, we see the things on the field more than the coaches do on the sideline, so as long as we communicate that and kind of see everything and communicate, it's a really great tool.
Are y'all going back there every time you come off the field?
Yeah, for sure. Right to it.
And that back part was the interesting part because it contradicts, well, it doesn't contradict. It's the opposite of the way the defense is doing things. But that's interesting for me with Mason Taylor is that every time they come off the field, all those guys are going straight to the iPad. This is a new way of coaching. And you understand that, like, none of these college coaches have had this at their disposal before during the drives where their team is on the sideline. So this is going to be, I believe, a bit of an adjustment for them to use it. It's a benefit because you've got this new technology that you've never had before, but you're going to have to do things a little bit differently. It's probably easier because I would imagine they used to have to get, well, not imagine, I know they used to get the dry erase board out and like draw it up. Well, now it's quicker. You can just get it and point to it and go. I don't know who's in charge of loading these things. I don't know, who's in charge of making sure they're where they need to be. Like, there's probably a lot of like staff work that's got to be done that never had to be done before to have this stuff ready when the guys come off the field. But I think it's fascinating that every position group is now huddling around these iPads and kind of scrolling through things. And Mason Taylor said he and the offense were doing it every single time. Now, this is Whit Weeks, and he talked about the defense using it and specifically the special teams actually using it as well.
Yeah, we did. So that's obviously brand new. So like I would use it on special teams almost more than defense, but because Coach Baker didn't want us to come off and just be watching the whole game. So he'd pick out certain plays that he'd want us to watch and be like, what are you seeing here? But then really on special teams, they're helpful too.
So it's more so the coaches identify something they bring you as opposed to the players coming off the field and saying, hey, I need you. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's not like we're on if you want to see something, they're definitely going to let you see it. Okay. But Coach Baker is the one who's like finds the play and he's like, hey, so he shows it to you. Okay. So you don't really have to worry about that when you're coming out.
And then he talked about, as you heard there, he said that Coach Baker doesn't want us just staring at the iPads every time we come off, which is different than obviously what the offense is doing. But Weeks also talked about the special teams and said, like, what's interesting about special teams is only one rep. And defense, you got a whole drive. You might have 5 plays, 8 plays, 13 plays before you come off, and then you've got to like identify one. Special teams, like, it's one rep, it's one punt, one kickoff, whatever. And Whit told us that the first time he actually came off the field and said, "Get me the iPad," was on the kickoff return that Zachariah Branch like busted up the seam that you had to have the kicker make a miraculous tackle to stop him from scoring a touchdown. And Whit said they went right over, and it's one rep. So you can take it, slow it down, start identifying what's going wrong, what's not, and you know exactly what you're looking for. So he thought from the special teams perspective, it was really, really helpful for them. You can diagnose a problem really quickly in that way. So this is I think, a cool thing for these players. This is something that's going to be new. And my thing is, like, I really trust LSU's coaching staff. I think all these guys are really, really good. And the more information and the more tools you can give really good coaches, like they're just going to be able to be even better. And so, yeah, you could look at it and say, well, LSU lost the game. Well, they did. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to make LSU some sort of unstoppable force, but the players seem to really appreciate it. They seem to be getting into a routine with it. Keep in mind, like, they didn't use this much during the preseason. We talked last week with Greg Penn talking about the helmet that the coaches were talking into. Obviously, Garrett Nussmeier's been working with that, but the defense is kind of rotating through it. They had used the iPads in one scrimmage to this point. This is going to be something that I think they continue to evolve with as time moves on. And that's another piece to this schedule that I think is so good. Because, yes, you started off with a game that was more difficult than almost anybody in the country, and you've got a loss to show for it, and that's bad. Like, there's no two ways about it. That's a bad deal. But you've got a month here where you can fine-tune a lot of stuff. And, I'm fully aware. I am absolutely dismissing South Carolina and UCLA. I think those two teams stink. I think they stink. And so I think LSU is going to beat those two teams. I think South Carolina and UCLA are significantly worse than Alabama and Ole Miss and Texas A&M and Oklahoma and a lot of the teams that LSU is going to see moving forward. I would put them probably in a category with Arkansas moving forward, like in Vanderbilt. Like I think that's the pool that UCLA and South Carolina are swimming with. They're swimming with Arkansas. They're swimming with Vanderbilt. Like that's what I think of them. So I believe that LSU is going to win those games. If I'm proven wrong, I'll sit right here in this chair. I'll say I'm an idiot. I was wrong, and we'll keep talking about LSU's football team. But right now, my analysis after 1 week of football is that those two teams are not any good. So you've got a month before the bye week to get your process figured out, to get your rotations figured out. That goes to what you're going to do on the sideline with these iPads. That goes to what your rotation is going to look like at running back now that John Emery's out. That goes to whether or not you're going to play young players as defensive back. Like all that stuff is stuff you can work through over the next month before you hit the bye and get to Ole Miss. And I think this is an interesting part of it. When we talked to Taylor and especially Weeks, like their eyes like kind of lit up when we started talking about the iPad. You could tell that Sunday was an eye-opening thing for them to have that tool at their disposal. Now it's just a matter of getting the most you possibly can out of it. So that I thought was interesting. I've got a piece up on it at louisianasports.net if you'd like to check it out. There's lots up at louisianasports.net from the day. I've got some matchups to watch, LSU and Nichols. And I had a little bit of fun with it. I'll be quite honest with you. I did not dive into how Savion Jones off the edge matches up with Nichols left tackle. I did not talk a lot about how Kyron Lacey matches up with Nichols' number one cornerback. I don't think that's relevant or interesting to anybody because LSU's players are all significantly better than Nichols' players, and that's just the way that goes. So I didn't necessarily dive into that like I did last week. Had a little bit more fun with it, talked about some of the things I'm looking for in the game on Saturday. So if you're looking for some easy reading with a couple of jokes, put right on in there. You can check that out at louisianasports.net on the top page. Charles Haniger's column that he'll write for us every single week. It's called Checking IDs this week. That's up there on the top page. The Saints restructured Juwan Johnson's contract. That's up there. Then, of course, on the SEC side of things, DJ Lagway, Florida's quarterback, is going to be the starter. Graham Mertz dealing with concussion. He's not going to go against Samford. Lagway is the starter, and Chris Marlar's got a piece up on that over on our SEC tab on louisianasports.net. Keep in mind, all of it is completely free to read at any time, so go check that out when you've got a few minutes. It's louisianasports.net. When we come back, it's a weekly segment. It's coming back because now we got NFL football on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we've got, obviously, college football in full swing. We'll do best win and worst loss on the board. That's coming up on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com is the website. If you're a business owner and you're not real sure about what your insurance program says, that can be a real problem. And you don't need to address that problem after the issue has presented itself, whether there's a car accident, whether there's a hurricane, whether there's a cyber breach or a lawsuit that's involved. You need to make sure on the front end that you're all buttoned up. And that's why your insurance broker should be the guy or girl that's telling you, hey, this is what you need, and this is where we can go get it. If you're just one of those that every 10 months makes a couple phone calls and shouts for the best price, this is probably not the phone call you need to make to Highland Insurance Group. They're absolutely going to go to the marketplace to find the best price they can for you. But what they're going to do is be an advocate for you and be a consultant for you to make sure that your program is correct. Whether it's property and casualty or your group or employee benefits, the Highland Insurance Group can absolutely help you out. Jonathan Carbo and his team are located right here in Baton Rouge, and they are happy to help you on the commercial side of things. Highland Insurance Group, they're at highlandig.com. That's highlandig.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Let's wrap up hour number 1 here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's Markets. Every Thursday at the end of the first hour, we'll do best win and worst loss in college football and in the NFL. Best win in college football to me is pretty simple. I think it's Texas over Michigan. If Texas goes to Michigan and wins, these are the landmines they've got left on their schedule. They've got Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry, and they've got Georgia coming in the next week. Outside of that, it's at Vanderbilt, Florida, at Arkansas, Kentucky, and at A&M. If Texas wins this game, they are a strong, strong likelihood to go to the college football playoff. At that point, all they really have to do is split the Oklahoma and Georgia games, neither of which is a true road game. Oklahoma's obviously in Dallas and Georgia's in Austin. And then you're really playing for it against Texas A&M in the last game of the season at Kyle Field, which is going to be a tough game for them because that's going to be an A&M team that's really fired up to play that game. But I think Texas all but punches their ticket to the college football playoff if they go to Michigan and win. And at this point, they're a favorite, so we'll see if they can get that done. Worst loss in college football to me would probably be Tennessee headed to North Carolina State. I don't mean to make this SEC-centric, but Tennessee is a team that I think has a real opportunity to make the college football playoff this year, but you can't lose to NC State as a 9.5-point favorite and feel very good about things at that point. Like, they still got to play Alabama. They still got to go to Oklahoma. There are some tough games, and I don't think they're going to go undefeated. I think they're closer to 11-1 and certainly closer to 10-2 probably, and 9-3 being the buffer there. But you can't lose to NC State and feel really good about your chances. I thought Tennessee looked fantastic last weekend. That was against Chattanooga. They got to step up in class this week, but I think they will. I don't think they're going to lose that game, but it would be a really bad loss if Tennessee did do that. The best win in the NFL to me got to be the Ravens tonight at the Chiefs. It's one of those deals, and we talked about this a lot last year, and we've talked about it a lot with the Bengals over the past couple of years. Every game you lose early in the season makes it more and more likely you got to go to Arrowhead, and you just don't want to go to Arrowhead. I mean, you're talking about the Bengals have won at Arrowhead in the playoffs. They've won against Josh Allen at Buffalo. They've beaten Lamar Jackson. Well, they didn't beat Lamar Jackson. They beat the Ravens in the playoffs without Lamar Jackson. But they've gone on the road and won playoff games with Joe Burrow. But you'd rather play him at home. And if Burrow's finally healthy through a camp, you want to make sure that you're not tripping over your own feet early in the season like they've done the last couple of years when Burrow couldn't practice. Same thing goes here for the Ravens. You win a game at the Chiefs. 1, that's a huge win for you. 2, it's a loss for the Chiefs. So I realize the Ravens have got huge expectations. They always do. They got the reigning most valuable player in the league. It's going to be an incredible ball game tonight, and it would be the biggest win in the NFL if they could get it at the Chiefs. The worst loss in the NFL is really down to 2 games, and both have local ties. If the Saints lose to Carolina, you've heard it a million times, and I'm not going to change my tune on it, they're in big, big, big trouble. You cannot lose that game. And the same not the same, but the Bengals really don't need to lose to New England in Cincinnati this weekend. Like, that would be a disaster because of the playoff implications. And for 2 very different reasons. The Bengals are trying to win 12, 13 games this year and maybe be the 1 seed in the AFC. The Saints are trying to stay afloat, keep their coach around, and maybe win a bad division. And that's why the 2 games are different. The Bengals would just be losing to a bad team on your home field. The Saints would be losing to a bad team in your home field, and you don't feel like you can make up for it. The Bengals have made up for it in previous years with Burrow missing some time early. They've gotten hot midseason and gotten it cooking. They've done it the last 2 years, and then Burrow got hurt again last year. But those are probably the 2 worst losses on the docket. The Saints home against Carolina and the Bengals at home against the New England Patriots. I'm in a Survivor League. I got the Bengals. I realize that's not really thinking outside the box, but I just don't think that the Patriots are going to be good at all, and I think the Bengals are going to be good. So we shall see. If you want to watch some NFL football tonight, I've got something for you. Got something great. You probably just heard it in the commercials before we came back on. L'Auberge Sportsbook, L'Auberge Casino here in Baton Rouge is rebranding their sportsbook to ESPN Bet. I was there last Thursday. It's a fantastic setup there. Great big screen TVs. And they're cutting the ribbon tonight at 6:30. From 6 to 8, Our ESPN Baton Rouge team will be there. I'll be there. We got some cups and hats and shirts to give away. They're going to have drink and food specials in the sportsbook as well, so you can watch and wager on all the games. It's going to be a ton of fun out there at the sportsbook at LeBare's tonight. It's the ESPN Sportsbook, and if you're looking for a place to blow off some steam after a long Thursday at work, want to watch some NFL football, it's going to be a fantastic game. Ravens and Chiefs, you can't do a lot better than that. So we'll be there. We'll be hanging out, talking some football. We'd love to see you out at ESPN Bet, the sportsbook, this evening from 6 to 8. I might stay a little later than 8 o'clock watching some football there at LeBare's. So I hope to see y'all out there this evening. If you missed any of today's first hour, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can certainly find us. Open up the show talking about my reaction to LSU's player interviews yesterday and how it gave me a little bit of a shot of life. Those guys are ready to play again on Saturday, and I thought that was pretty cool after a really dejecting loss coming on Sunday. Luke Johnson was joining us at 1:15, as he always does on Thursdays, talking about this Saints opener. If you missed it, you can find it at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. And talked about LSU's team, how they're going to use iPads on the sidelines and how they did use them on Sunday. Players seem to be pretty excited about it. I thought it was cool, and I've got a story up at louisianasports.net on that. Our second hour coming fast and furious on this Thursday. We've got my NFL picks for the season coming up as the season, of course, opens tonight. And Matt Schumacher is going to join us at 2:30. He's going to be on the call for LSU and Nichols coming up Saturday night in Death Valley. The game's going to be on ESPN Plus for those that are streaming. And Matt's going to talk to us about the coolest venues that he's been in, what he thinks LSU's mindset is coming into this game, and a little bit about the Nichols Colonels as well. So don't go anywhere. We are going to step aside, as we always do, mid-show for a little bit of Sports Center. You'll get your national headlines. We'll come back and talk a little bit more NFL football. You're listening to a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. It's opening night in the NFL. The reigning champion Chiefs host the Ravens at Arrowhead. Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes admires his Ravens counterpart, Lamar Jackson.
I think that's something that's truly what it really takes to be a great quarterback in this league. It's not always about talent. It's about can you go out there and compete every single week and find ways to, whenever you don't have your best stuff, your team doesn't have your best stuff, you find ways to win football games that way.
Patrick Mahomes, the Commanders fire team vice president Ryle Enteen today. The move comes just one day after he was suspended for comments he made on a hidden camera. Enteen said Washington players were anti-gay and that the NFL's social justice initiatives were performative. Women's semifinal night at the U.S. Open in New York. First up, American Emma Navarro against Arina Sabalenka, followed by American Jessica Pegula against Karolina Muchova. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Yankees right-hander Luis Gil is back from the injured list today. He's been out 2 weeks with a lower back strain. He'll start tomorrow against the Cubs in Chicago.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boy, does it smell good.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
That's good.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Matt Schumacher coming up in 30 minutes. He'll be on the call for LSU and Nichols from Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. So we'll chat with him coming up in half of an hour. The NFL kicks off tonight, a big one from Arrowhead. The Chiefs and the Ravens. Should be an incredible environment there and should be a heck of a football game as well. Looking very much forward to that. And I just wanted to get my picks on the record. All this stuff's recorded. Go back and listen to it. I can be made to be an idiot and sometimes even come out looking reasonably smart. But we'll see. Just have to figure things out in January. Beck, what's your confidence level that I can accurately pick these NFL divisions and the Super Bowl champion?
Not very high. Simply because even for people who know a lot about the NFL, it's very difficult because there's just always going to be things you can't predict. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people thought the Jets were going to be pretty good last year, and then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt in the first game, and they're terrible.
Drive.
So,
first drive is when he got hurt.
Yeah.
So,
so it's hard. It's just, you know, it's fun to do, but at the end of the day, honestly, to me, it's kind of like when you do a not as bad as a March Madness bracket, but almost the less you know, I think sometimes might help you.
Well, I can't say that I can go through the depth chart for all these teams.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. But I do think that I can give it a shot. So we're going to give it a whirl. We'll start in the NFC. And look, I talked about this when – first of all, let me talk about my Saints prediction yesterday first. I did not have a motive when I sat down and started picking the Saints games individually. I did not say, okay, I think this is a 5-12 team. Let me find the 5 wins, and then there are the 12 losses. I just went game by game and started putting a W and an L next to them. And when the dust settled, they were 9-8, and I was shocked by that. But I didn't think it was completely outlandish. So keep in mind that I talked about the Saints yesterday as being a 9-8 team as we get into this. And one of the picks that I made for the Saints was that they would beat Philadelphia at home. And as we talk about the NFC East, like Philadelphia fell apart last year.
They did.
At the end of the season. And I think that Jason Kelce is a big part of what they did. He's an all-pro at center. I realize they bring in Saquon Barkley, and I realize that I think they're going to have a pretty good team, but I think the Cowboys are going to be better. I fall into this trap a lot, and I probably like Dak more than most people, but he is massively productive more often than not, and I think the Cowboys are going to win that division. I think the Giants are a disaster, and I don't think Jaden's franchise is ready to go just yet, so it's probably down to 2. I'm taking the Cowboys.
I think it's pretty close, but I think the Eagles will bounce back this year. Jalen Hurts is too good. They've got weapons there, and the defense is solid. But losing Jason Kelce will be a big deal. I always remember Matt saying when he had Mike Detillier on about the team losing their starting center and how the other team almost would always win or at least cover in those games. And obviously they're having more time to prepare for not having him, but at the same time I think it will be a big deal for that offensive line. But I still think Jalen Hurts is just too good. And the Cowboys are always just going to be the Cowboys. They're gonna do something to screw up in the end of the season. They may make the wild card, but I think the Eagles will win the division.
This pick could be influenced by the fact that Jalen Hurts was my fantasy quarterback, and now Dak Prescott is my fantasy.
That could there could be some bias there.
All right, in NFC North, I got the Lions. I think they're the best team. Kirk Cousins moves on from Minnesota. They got quarterback issues for sure. And the Bears, I think, are going to be a good team this year. But I think the Lions are the cream of that crop. I like the Packers too, but give me the Lions to win that division.
Yeah, I actually think the Packers. I like the Packers here. I think the Lions are really good. Obviously, we saw last year Dan Campbell's really got those guys playing really well, and they'll be a playoff team too. I think Jordan Love is going to take another step forward this year, and that offense is going to play really well. So I'll take the Packers.
Give me the Falcons in the South. I like Cousins. I could be convinced into the Saints. I can be convinced into the Bucks. I think all of them are right around 500 teams, and it may come down to the head-to-head like it did last year. But give me the Falcons to win the South.
Yeah, I think the Falcons will as well. Kirk Cousins has got some great weapons. Bijan Robinson, I think, is probably considered one of the most talented running backs in the league. He's fresh, and he's going to be. I think the way Arthur Smith ran that team last year was just really. Kyle Pitts has been wasted for years.
Completely wasted.
So
non-factor.
hopefully they can figure out how to make him.
Took him like 4th in the draft or something.
It was unbelievable. So hopefully they can actually figure this out and get that guy some touches. And the Saints, I think, are going to be second. I think it'll be close. I think it's going to be a close race between the Falcons and the Saints. The Saints defense is so good. And if Clint Kubiak can get this offense playing a little bit better, then it'll be close. But I think the Falcons' edge, just with Kirk Cousins, I think he's going to be really good for them this year.
And I got the 49ers out west. No complaints there?
No, not really. The Rams are not great. Stafford is aging. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
Nope.
No, don't expect much from them. And then I think Geno Smith is going to be better this year. He had a bit of a down year last year, but he's still got DK Metcalf, and they've still got a good solid team. I think it's going to be the 49ers by at least a couple of games, but the Seahawks I think could sneak into the playoffs.
Cowboys, Lions, Packers, 49ers are my division winners in the wild card. I have the Eagles, and then I have 2 teams from the North, the Bears and the Packers.
Interesting.
Making it. The Bears are going to be good on defense like they were last year.
It's just Caleb Williams, you know.
And it just is. See. And I think they probably need to win 9 to get in.
Yeah.
That's kind of was the benchmark last year. And so I think that they've got weapons. They've got Rome Odunze. They've got Keenan Allen. And then, of course, they traded in for DJ Moore as well. So that's really good. I think the Bears have a good roster. And so I think that they're gonna. So those are my 7 NFC playoff teams. I have out of the AFC East. I do have the Jets winning that division. That defense was awesome last year, and they just couldn't do anything because Zach Wilson was playing quarterback. If they can get 17 games out of Rodgers, they can get 15 games out of Rodgers. I think they win the division.
That's a really tough division. I mean, you got the Bills, Dolphins, Jets there. The Patriots are going to be one of the worst teams in the league again, I think. But that's going to be really – I think that might be the biggest toss-up in the whole NFL. But I'll go with the Bills. I think Aaron Rodgers –
kind of hit and reset. Their quarterback's awesome. They did have to shed a bunch of salary.
They did, but I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to be good for the Jets. I just don't think he's going to be at the same level that he was with the Packers. I don't know that they have the same – chemistry yet, and maybe they can develop it over time. But he's still. I mean, this is really his first season with him. Like you said, he only played one series for them last year, so I think it may take some time for them to mesh with that offense. And I'll take the Bills.
Give me the Bengals to win the North. That's a really good division. Even the Browns are good.
Yeah, defense is incredible.
The Steelers they're like a buoy. You can't shove them underwater. I felt like they were terrible last year. I think they won 9 games. So I'll take the Bengals in a really tough division to win that one. I'm assuming Joe stays healthy.
That's the question, obviously. But my question more so is the Bengals defense and whether or not they can take a step forward. I'll take the Ravens. It's just hard for me to go against Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens defense is always so good. I'll take the Ravens, but I do think that the Bengals and Browns both make it to the playoffs.
Got the Texans winning the South. Obviously, a great first year for C.J. Stroud. The Jaguars are supposed to take a leap, and they just haven't.
Just where is Trevor Lawrence? when is he going to really take the next step?
I think the Titans are in a nosedive, and I don't trust Anthony Richardson at all. So I think the Texans kind of by default there in that one. And then give me the Chiefs in the West. No complaints there?
No, I don't think so. I will say that the Jaguars could, like, if Trevor Lawrence can really take that next step, I don't know.
Get it to Brian Thomas Jr., baby.
Exactly, yeah. But and then Anthony Richardson, surprisingly, Hunt, I've noticed a lot of people really like him, and a lot of people really think the Colts can take the next step this year. I've still remained to be seen for me. And when you've got a guy like that's going to be running the ball so much and just he's big, but he's still going against NFL linebackers. Like the chances of running the risk of getting injured if he's running the ball 10 or 15 times a game is strong for that. So
I got the Ravens, Dolphins, and Bills as my wild card. So that's 2 divisions with 3 teams in. It did happen once last year. You had one division that got 3 teams into the playoffs, but I'll take the Ravens, Dolphins, and Bills. So my playoff teams are the Cowboys, Lions, Falcons, 49ers, with the Eagles, Bears, and Packers, Jets, Bengals, Texans, Chiefs, Ravens, Dolphins, Bills. I've got the Packers winning the NFC, even though I don't have them as the champions of that division in the North. I've got the Lions there, but I do have the Packers winning the NFC, and I've got the Bengals winning the AFC. Bit of a homer pick, but I think Burrow's is really good. And I think that
the Packers, man, that's strong.
Why not throw something against the wall there?
Yeah.
So I got Bengals over Packers in the Super Bowl. Let's cook.
All right, I like it. I like it a lot. I do think that the Bengals obviously have enough talent to make a Super Bowl. They did a couple years ago, and as long as Joe Burrow can stay healthy, then they can do it. The Packers is an interesting one. I think a lot of people are expecting Jordan Love to be even better this year than he was last year.
His last 10 games last year
was incredible.
Were flame through.
He was, yeah. And if he can carry that offense, then they certainly can do it. I do think that the 49ers are just an incredibly talented team. It's hard for me to take them out of the Super Bowl again. So I think they're going back.
I mean, you're going to go 49ers Chiefs? Is that where you're going to go?
No, I don't know. I won't go that far. I think for me, I love the Bills. I love Josh Allen so much. I think they are finally going to get over the hump, and I think the Bills will be in the Super Bowl.
The Bills in a reset. Because if you were listening when I talked to Luke Johnson about the piece in The Athletic that talked about fan base's optimism level for this season, I was surprised the Bills was like mid-tier.
Yeah, that's surprising.
And that's a fan base that loves their team, that didn't have really any success from the mid-'90s through the Josh Allen era, and they're still pretty good. I realize that they've shed a lot of salary, and they're going to have some young guys step up and play, but you've got, by anybody's measure, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Some people might say he's the best quarterback. Well, no one's going to say he's better than Mahomes. Some people, one top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like that alone should excite you to the point that you should think that things are going to be good. And it felt like they weren't. I guess that's just a lot of names that went out the door, and you don't know the names that are coming in. But as long as you can snap it at Josh Allen, I think you're in pretty good shape. So I don't hate that either. So we'll timestamp those. We'll come back if we need to and revisit them. But those are our NFL picks as the season starts this evening. All right, when we come back, we'll talk some LSU football, specifically Savion Jones. I want to talk about him when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You just don't want to move because you love your interest rate, but you think you might be able to add some value to your home for the time that you do sell it and just improve your living situation while you're there. One Bath and Closets is the only call you need to make. It can totally renovate and redesign your closet, can totally renovate and redesign your bathroom, It'll be the only call that you have to make, and I promise you this, they'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Some folks say, I'm just scared of paying for that at this point. Financing options are available at One Bath & Closets. They will handle some financing options for you if that's something you need to get that project done. Maybe it's not something that extensive. Maybe it's just a tub-to-shower conversion. That sounds like something you're interested in. Check out pictures of their great work at onebathandclosets.com. Look at their Instagram feed as well. See some really cool projects that David Duvall and his team have worked on. It's going to be functional. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be done the right the first time, and they leave the competition behind. It's One Bath & Closets. Check them out online. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. Get $1,000 off of your deal. It's One Bath & Closets at onebathandclosets.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Chat with Matt Schumacher from ESPN coming up in the next segment. He will be on the call for LSU and Nichols on Saturday night, so we'll get his thoughts on the ball game, the venue, and everything that goes into the LSU home opener. Looking forward to that conversation. But I wanted to talk a little LSU defense here, specifically Savion Jones. That may have been the most encouraging development of the game on Sunday. I thought the defense was improved. We've talked about this all week. I was encouraged by the fact that LSU got their hands on some passes. I thought the breakup that Ashton Stamps had in the end zone was a really good hand-eye coordination play. I thought P.J. Woodland responded to a pass interference with a really good play to break up a pass. And those guys had their moments, and they also had some moments that weren't as good. Savion Jones consistently was very good. His pass rush win rate was fantastic. He was second on the team per Pro Football Focus.
That's a tough one.
That is a real tough one there. Per Pro Football Focus, he was second on the team in the pass rush outside of Weeks. He was winning on the edge. He was coming on some stunts. He did a good job in the against the ground game. He got back there and got to Miller Moss. He batted a ball away on that fourth down that Weeks almost intercepted. It wasn't like he showed one flash that, oh, there's some talent. It was time and time and time again. And I've said this now for a year. I thought that Savion Jones was next up last year. You had Arden Key, and he gave way to Caleb Von Chason, who came in, and he gave way to B.J. Ojulari. And all three of those guys who were thought of as really good edge rushers, 4- and 5-star players that came in, lived up to that billing. And then you filled in that spot with the next guy. That's what LSU theoretically would love to do at every position. You've got a star, and the next guy steps up and becomes a star. Doesn't always work like that, but that's the hope. And you had Savion Jones as kind of the next guy. He wasn't a freshman. B.J. Ojulari moves on, and he's supposed to plug in and be the next guy. And last year, he was just kind of MIA. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be the fact that he's had all these defensive line coaches, and the coaching wasn't up to par because of all the uncertainty at the position. It could be that Savion Jones was too heavy. It could have been that he just wasn't that good a player. He was a highly rated recruit, and he just wasn't all that good. Like, there are a lot of reasons why a guy doesn't have a great season. But to me, it's difficult when you're talking about a guy in his fourth college season for me in August to go, yeah, I know he didn't really play his first and second year, and I know that his third year, like, he was supposed to be good, but he didn't have the right coaching, and he probably gained a little bit too much weight. But this year, he's really going to pop. Like, I guard against that because that is really wishful thinking. Most often, guys don't reach their potential out of nowhere in year 4. It can happen. I can point to Joe Burrow. That was pretty good year 4. Okay? But it just is very wishful thinking, I think, if you're a fan and you're banking on guys who have been in the program 3 and 4 years to find another gear. If you got a true freshman coming in and think he can make an impact, sure. If you got a guy who, as a freshman, made a couple of plays and now he's a sophomore and he's gained 15 pounds, okay, that's reasonable to expect a jump there. It's probably, in my estimation, generally unrealistic to expect a 4th and 5th year player to make that jump. And it's not a lock that Savion Jones is going to do what he did on Sunday every single week. But it's a possibility. It's a better possibility today than it was Sunday before kickoff. And they've got to have that. I don't believe LSU's DBs are going to become a no-fly zone in this season. They can definitely improve. They definitely shown signs of being better on Sunday than they were last year, for sure. And maybe P.J. Woodland develops a little bit. Maybe Ashton Stamps develops into a number 1 corner. Maybe Deshaun Spears and Kylan Jackson add a better layer of athleticism and physicality to the safety spot. And those guys who are very young grow up this year. And by the time we get to the Oklahoma game, those are your starters in the defensive backfield, and those are the guys that you're getting real production from. Maybe. But I think more likely, again, kind of speaking to what reasonable expectations maybe should look like, they're going to struggle some. But you can help them with a hellacious pass rush. And we know that Blake Baker's going to go to that Prowler package, and we know that Harold Perkins can be used in a pressure package, and we know that Whit Weeks has had some success rushing the passer, and we feel like Paris Shand had a really good first half of the game on Sunday, and maybe Savion Jones is the next piece of that. It's like keep adding layers. Deshaun Womack fits into this criteria. Maybe those guys become a real force on the front of the defense, and it takes some heat off the back end of the defense. And I feel like there's a real chance of that. I feel like Savion Jones could be a 9 or 10 sack guy. Like that is in the realm of possibility now. If you would have asked me on Saturday afternoon when I was watching other teams play, 25, 6, 7 hours before LSU kicked off, hey, how many sacks for Savion Jones this year? I probably would have looked at you and said 3.5. Because that's what I saw last year. Now, granted, he was better in camp, but that is camp. There are drills that are skewed one way or another. You can't really sack the quarterback. Like, it looked a little better, but what do I know? How could I truly forecast it was going to look significantly better? But it was not 1 or 2 snaps on Sunday for him. It was 15 or 20 snaps that were really good. And that is so, so encouraging. And in speaking with Savion yesterday, he felt that. He felt like he's lost some weight. He felt like he's absolutely been coached by Kevin Peoples in a way that he had never been coached before at LSU. He felt like he was, in the course of a game, able to set up tackles with one move and then come back with a move that countered that got tackles on their heels. That's the kind of stuff that I don't think you would have heard him say last year. And that's such a great story of perseverance and work ethic, where you weren't asked to do very much early in your career. You got your chance to shine last year. It went very poorly. But you didn't put your head down and quit. Didn't go somewhere else. Didn't try your hand at the pros. You decided, hey, I'm gonna work. I got a new coach here, and we're gonna figure something out. We're gonna make things better. And if it was any indication on Sunday, things are gonna be significantly better for Savion Jones and company. And I'm excited about the possibilities of that, because not only is a pass rush effective to help your secondary, it can also be effective to change games. I would suggest like the biggest plays, the biggest momentum shifting plays can come from the pass rush. And you almost had one on the tipped ball that Savion Jones came up with. If Weeks catches that, maybe that's a big shot in the arm for the offense. It's not a ton of yards, but it's 15 or 20 yards that you would have gained on that 4th down stop if Weeks catches it and runs up the field a little bit. Strip sacks, that can result in touchdowns. Drive stoppers. Even if you don't strip them, you just get a sack. Get the team behind the chains and set up another pass rush opportunity where you can get back in the prowler package and get after the quarterback again. And you don't have a lot of proven pass rushers outside of probably Perkins, who's not doing that all the time. This could be one of those guys, and that could be so, so big. Don't expect me on Monday to show up and anoint Savion Jones the next dude if he has 3 sacks against Nichols. None of those really count in my eyes. Nichols can't play with LSU. But certainly today, after one real test, Savion Jones passed it. And I'm really excited about the potential that he's got in this LSU defense. I think the team is as well. So looking forward to seeing him as the season progresses, and hopefully he can play his way up into a really high NFL draft pick, because they like guys that can rush the passer at the next level. We'll see if Savion Jones can work his way into that. All right, when we come back, Matt Schumacher is going to join us. He's going to be on the call for LSU and Nichols on Saturday night. We'll talk to him coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. EvolvePT.com is the website. Look, if you're in pain and you're an active person, but you can't do the things that you want to do, you make one stop, you make one call. You go to Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. It's a hands-on experience from the start of your session to the end of your session to make sure you're making strides toward getting back to being your active self. If you're a youth athlete that's been hurt trying to get back onto the field because you want to play, well, they've got isokinetic testing. They can measure the strength that you have coming back. And obviously, you can deal with whatever pain is and tell them how things are progressing from that perspective. If you're an injured person, your person is dealing with pain, whether you got hurt, got in a car accident, or you slept wrong, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports can help you. They do cupping, they do dry needling, they do scraping, talked about the isokinetic testing. Everything you do at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports is hands-on and geared towards getting you back to being your active self. It's EvolvePT.com. You can check them out on Starring near Highland Road. Again, that's on Starring near Highland Road, right where Sammy's, Johnny's Pizza are. It's right there. Robbie Bolton's been doing this for 20 years. If you're trying to get back to being your active self and tired of dealing with pain, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, EvolvePT.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Moving right along here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend. Hope you're staying dry. Hope you're staying safe out there as we get ready for the home opener between LSU and Nichols. It'll be Saturday night in Death Valley, streaming on ESPN+. On the call for that one, it's going to be Matt Schumacher. And Matt, we have not met, but this is a very, very small world. I got a text last week from my first cousin, Payne. He said, hey, my buddy from growing up is calling the LSU game next week, and you should have him on your show. I said, your buddy, somebody that hung out with you, is polished enough to go on the television? There's no way that's possible. This is a small world, and I'm not going to hold it against you that you hung out with Payne a lot growing up, but I'm glad you overcame that and reached new heights.
Well, it took a lot to overcome, but when you welcomed everybody back on the air, I heard a touch of Payne Stoddard in your voice. But you know what? He's a guy who could be a performer himself. We tried forever to get him to go on American Idol or America's Got Talent, because he's got a singing voice now.
Yeah, he grabbed the mic at his wedding a couple of years ago, and it was quite a show. So that's I appreciate him for hooking us up, and I'm fired up that you're coming down to call the game. Let's talk a little bit about LSU. I know that you're going to get a chance to talk with the coaches, coordinators, and players to get ready for the broadcast on Saturday night. What do you think the mindset of this team is after a 5th straight season opening loss?
Yeah, man, that was a tough game for them because, Garrett Nussmeyer's, I'm sure you guys are all well aware, and LSU fans are well aware. He's been pretty vocal about 10 wins is not enough. 10 wins is not good enough anymore at LSU, year 3 of the Brian Kelly era, and they felt like they had enough talent and depth and returning experience that they would have more than 10 wins this year. And, if you include the postseason, I think that's still obviously a possibility. But losing the first game makes it tough to get to double-digit wins. I think, obviously, the initial aftershock of it, they were not pleased. Brian Kelly's post-game interview, I think, said it all. But at the end of the day, they played a quality opponent. I think USC is certainly a playoff team. They're going to be in the top 4, I think, in the Big Ten when it's all said and done, and that is a brutal conference this year, just like the SEC. I think LSU showed some good. They showed some not so good, and this week's an opportunity to clean up some of the not so good before you welcome UCLA into Death Valley next week.
So let's talk about some of the venues that you've had an opportunity to broadcast some different sports in. And I don't know if you've ever been to Tiger Stadium or not, but what are some of the places that you've been that you've enjoyed the most?
Well, I have not been to Tiger Stadium. It's a bucket list for me. It's funny, actually. I am coming over to ESPN from Fox. This is year 1 for me as a full-timer at ESPN. So as far as football goes, I haven't been to any SEC stadiums until this year. Previously I was doing Big 10, Big 12. So, some cool venues. I went to BYU last year. That was breathtaking because you're in the mountains in Utah. Oklahoma State, they're banging the paddles on the side of the wall the entire game. It's loud as heck, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and they love their Oklahoma State football. But I am super excited to come to LSU. And the funny part is, about a month and a half ago, which was before I signed this new contract with ESPN, somebody asked me, what's a bucket list stadium? And I said, Tiger Stadium, Death Valley, at night, Saturday night kickoff. And here I am. So I'm thrilled to be here.
How much are you able to experience on a game day? I know that duty calls, but are you able to walk around campus a little bit and see some sights, or is it all business all the time?
Well, totally for a night game. There's, a lot of downtime beforehand. If it's a noon kickoff, it's pretty much wake up, get a workout in, eat some breakfast, and head to the stadium. But for a night game, I plan to walk around and take it all in, especially with this being the home opener of the 100th season.
Yeah, there should be a ton to do. It should be a pretty exciting day on campus. The weather's supposed to be good for us at this time of year. It's easily can be 100 degrees in early September. The high's only 85 on Saturday, so you will be able to walk around a little bit and enjoy some of the sights and the sounds. What do you think about these Power 5 versus FCS matchups? I mean, if you look back to last week, there were some that got really, really out of hand. Arkansas had had 10-minute quarters in the second half. I mean, what do you think about these matchups, and what do you think the Power 5 teams and the FCS teams think about them?
I don't dislike them. I've called a handful of them over the years, and sometimes you get lucky and you get a really good game. Last year we had Central Arkansas, Oklahoma State, and it was a 1-touchdown game in the fourth quarter, and Central Arkansas was driving, and it was, tons of drama because it's an FCS school with a chance to upset a P4. I think the way P4s and FCS schools look at them is obviously a lot different. Nichols is coming in here. They're going to get a nice payday. It's going to be huge for their athletics department the rest of the year. It's a chance to play at Tiger Stadium for the first time ever. And it's an experience that their players are never going to forget. On the flip side for LSU, it could be a trap game. You're coming off a top 25 against USC. You've got UCLA next weekend, so it's an opportunity for the players to focus. They view it, I think, Power Fours at large, view it as an opportunity to get some younger guys more playing time in the second half. Maybe you see a backup quarterback get more than one series, which could be helpful down the road. For all those reasons, I like FCS versus P4. I know some fans are like, why the heck is this game happening? But we talked with Nichols' head coach yesterday, and I won't share everything because I want to leave some of it for the broadcast, but he said one of his goals is to make sure that LSU is not able to get as many of the young guys into the game as they're anticipating.
Hey, got to have goals, and I appreciate that. He was on our airwaves on Matt Moscona's show from 3 to 6 yesterday as well. What do you know about this Nichols team?
Well, they're well coached. Coach Rebo has been doing it for a long time. He's been doing it at Nichols for a long time. And they're a team that returned 17 starters from a year ago, and they went undefeated in their league. Now, their overall record doesn't look great, but they played some FBS. They played a really tough Sacramento State team, which is always in the playoffs. This team made the playoffs last year. And they've got a couple guys on their team that, at least according to the coaching staff, could be at the Power 4 level, including their running back, Jalen Spears, who was the Conference Player of the Year last year.
It's going to be interesting to see just how fired up LSU is and how well they're able to execute here. It's an interesting dynamic that they've had to deal with now for 3 years in a row, where you open on this huge national stage and then you come back to play a team that you can overwhelm. Tigers haven't had any trouble with Grambling and Southern the last 2 years, but it wasn't a blowout of McNeese 3 years ago until late in that game, and we'll see what kind of fight Nichols can present. Matt Schumacher joining us here. He'll be on the call on Saturday night in Death Valley. Welcome to Baton Rouge and enjoy the weekend, sir. Thanks so much for your time.
I got one question before you go.
Lay it on me.
Where do I need to go in the 3 nights that I'm here for food?
I can help you with that a good bit off the air. We'll get to that.
Okay.
There's plenty of places we can. I got your number now, and I can help you out with that a significant amount. There are plenty of places to go around here, and we can set your itinerary for the weekend.
I love it. Thanks for having me on, man.
You bet. We appreciate you coming on. That's Matt Schumacher, play-by-play voice for ESPN. He'll be on the call coming up on Saturday. There's plenty of places to go, but I want to make sure we direct him in the right places. So I'll talk to Matt a little bit off the air there. You all know
look, he's definitely going to need to get lunch at Corks though, at least once.
He does need to get Corks. Corks is phenomenal, and you come down here, fried seafood's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So we'll get him set up with that. I got to figure out when he's available and what's going on. I don't know the schedule for the broadcast yet. I know they have to do interviews with the players and coaches. I don't know how much they need to go on site to check out the booth and where everything needs to be. Like I haven't done anything like that. I've done some high school games where I show up with my piece of paper and just write it down. But I think they've got a little bit better setup with the ESPN crew. So he'll get that figured out. But I'll chat with him. I realize I'm not going to sit here and talk about my cousin for the entirety of the interview. But my cousin is a complete lunatic. He's the guy that grabs the microphone at his own wedding and belts out a song, the entirety of the song. Half of his wife's social media videos are him twerking while he's scrambling eggs and stuff.
Wow.
And so the fact that he had a friend that's polished enough to do on-air stuff for ESPN was a little jarring to me. But I was glad that he set us up, and I'll talk to Matt here about some of that as we move into the weekend. But we'll keep that off the air. We'll take a time out. When we come back, we'll close things out on this Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
So fired up for tonight. You got to make L'Auberge Baton Rouge your game day headquarters all season long. They got the biggest screens, and now you can bet and dine at ESPN in person. As of tonight, it is the opening of ESPN Bet, the ribbon cutting of ESPN Bet over there at L'Auberge. We will be there, and we are fired up. The other side of this thing is you've got to download the Cover 5 app. You got to get the Pin Play app, download the Cover 5 app. You can compete against me in this SEC Pick'em. It is season long, but you can win cash every single week, and it's such a cool game that you can play with the point spreads. I talked about it yesterday a little bit, but just say there's a 10-point spread and you pick LSU to cover against Alabama on a 10-point number and they win by 17. Well, you get 7 points because you beat the spread by 7 points, and you pick 5 games every week in the SEC. I've got my picks, but I'm not going to give them to you right now. And you can compete with me if you put in the code LABRSEC24 in the Cover 5 app. Again, that code LABRSEC24. Every single week there's a different competition. It's going to be a ton of fun to monitor it all season long. L'Auberge Baton Rouge is your live sports headquarters. Got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
.104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Shell are excited to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Tiger Stadium with our Draw 200 sweepstakes. We're giving you the opportunity to join in the VIP style celebrations on October 12th for the Ole Miss game. Sign up today at 1045ESPN.com. We'll live stream the drawings on October 10th, and the 100th name drawn will win Stadium Club seats, sideline passes, and autographed memorabilia. It's the Draw to 100 sweepstakes presented by Shell, the Rhythm of Louisiana.
All right, our Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's Markets, official grocer and supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. I cannot advise you highly enough to check out Rouse's for your tailgating or game day watching needs. They got everything you could need. They'll, of course, be hosting Eagle 98.1's game day in the pregame all season long. Rouse's Burbank and Lee, Charlie and Matt Musso will be there on Saturday, so go by and see them. As Hanny always says, they guarantee you they're not going to run out of ice. So if you come by the Rouse's, Burbank and Lee on the way out to campus to tailgate, they will have ice for you. They'll also have all the drinks you could need, all the food you could need, your party trays. They got meat pie trays, sandwich trays, fruit trays, all that, cookie cakes, all those things for your easy tailgating. If you want to get more intensive, they can handle everything you need for a jambalaya or anything like that as well. Rouse's, awesome partner of ours here at Guarantee Media and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and we appreciate them for bringing you our Thursday shows each and every week. I want to remind you one more time that I'll be out at LeBear's tonight. 6 to 8 is kind of the official ribbon-cutting ceremony over at ESPN Bet. I'll probably be there a little bit longer than that. They got food specials. They got drink specials. We'll be watching and wagering the Ravens and the Chiefs, so it should be a lot of fun at ESPN Bet. Very much looking forward to getting out there this evening. If you're looking for something to do, blow off some steam on a Thursday after work, watch some football, and have some drinks, eat some food, and have some fun. We'll be giving away cups, hats, shirts, and whatnot for ESPN, and should be a great time. So come on out to LeBear's Baton Rouge tonight, ESPN Bet Sportsbook, and see us as we're watching Chiefs and Ravens. All right, let's close it up. Back with some Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one here. Cooper Manning has paid the Graduate Hotel in Ann Arbor to fly the Texas flag this week. That's bad for business. Take it or leave it.
I gotta take this.
I'll take
this. I saw a picture of it. They are flying the Texas flag in Ann Arbor. One, what must Cooper Manning have paid them? Two,
Yeah.
it's not enough. Because if you realize who comes to that hotel, people coming in for Michigan games who are Michigan fans. And I'll be like real candid with you. If I lived in Shreveport or Houston or Biloxi or wherever, and I was coming in for LSU games 4 or 5 times a year, and one of the hotels in this town flew a Bama flag, or in this case, like a Clemson flag that's out of conference, I would not stay there. Like, I would, on principle, be like, probably not going to do that. There are other hotels. I'm not staying there. Like, that would make me mad.
I can't imagine we driving by the Lod Cook Hotel and seeing the Alabama flag flying. You know, that's
not going to
unheard
happen.
of.
Now, that one's on campus, but I don't know where the graduate is. Maybe it is on campus. Like, I don't know. But like, that's bad for business.
Yeah, not great.
You can't do that. I mean, what could Cooper have possibly paid him for that? $50,000?
I don't know. I mean, you would think at least something in the thousands for sure for that to happen.
Obviously, but that's not. But that's not even. That's one night. That's not even one night worth of revenue.
No.
It's just that's a very, very, very poor decision by the Graduate Hotel.
Yeah, that's tough. All right,
we'll see.
Moving on here, the Cubs threw a combined no-hitter against the Pirates last night. As I texted you last night, not really sure why they didn't let Shota have a chance at getting himself a no-hitter. He was through 7,
pitches.
Only at 95 pitches. The season's over. Although this take it or leave it mentions, of course, that this was the first no-hitter since 72, and says the season is back on. Take it or leave it.
Gonna leave. They're not gonna.
It's over.
It's 4.5 games and Steele's out, but. You know, I got some texts like, "Oh, combined no-hitters." Like, I mean, it's kind of cool. I don't really care that much. If you saw the players' reaction, like, they didn't really care. The last time the Cubs did it, Craig Kimbrell closed it and didn't even know there was a combined no-hitter.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, you know, if it's not one guy doing it, it just is what it is.
The Pirates had a first baseman pitching, I think, in the 8th or 9th
Rowdy
inning.
Tellez was out there on the bump.
So it's not you know, it's cool. I'm glad that the fans got to see something like that, but Craig Counsell, the season's over. Why is Shota Imanaga not going back out in the 8th inning? Give him a chance at least. If he goes out there and gives us a hit, just give him a short leash. He gives him a hit, take him out, but give him a chance to get a no-hitter, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I just and this is curmudgeon to me. I get it. I don't really care about no-hitters.
Yeah, I know that's your thing. You don't care.
I just don't really care. I care about winning.
Yeah,
and if getting him that no-hitter is going to extend him to 120 pitches when he's never really done that before, his high this year is 105, and there's any chance that he could be compromised in any way, I'm out. So I'm good with getting him out of there. If he doesn't care, I'd rather try to save him for next year.
All right, next one here. Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy. He's back again, currently undertaking a social media campaign to have Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart attend an Oklahoma State equestrian meet. Take it or leave it.
Huh? You're going to have to do a little more research on this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I tried to
Stewart
dig.
And Snoop Dogg need to go to an equestrian meet.
So Snoop Dogg was at the Olympics, and he was seen partaking in the equestrian meets there.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Martha Stewart was there, but I do know that Snoop Dogg was.
He probably was. All the celebrities were there.
Yeah, so I think that maybe that has to do with it, why they would want. But of course, you know, the Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart tandem is pretty famous and well known. So maybe they just want to have some juice.
I had no idea about that. That's real.
Yeah, they had their own show together. Okay. Yeah, like a cooking show, I think. But yeah, I guess that's why.
We don't talk about enough the steeplechase in the Olympics, where the horses have to jump in the puddles. Why do they do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that's a good event.
Yeah,
that's one we might need to scrap.
Maybe so.
It's okay if the horses want to jump over the things. Why do we need to put the puddles there? I don't know. Yeah. And I don't need Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg going to the equestrian event at Oklahoma. But appreciate Mike Gundy for trying to do something.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure how that could possibly correlate to NIL, but I guess it does somehow. I'm not sure, but apparently that's what he wants to do. He's in day 20 now of this campaign.
I mean, it's probably going to work. Snoop Dogg will do anything.
Yeah, he will. As long as you pay him, he'll do it. All right, last one here. Chiefs superfan Xavier Babadar, known as Chiefs-aholic, was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison without parole and 3 years of supervised release for committing a string of armed robberies across the U.S. and then laundering the money through a casino. This is a movie script. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, it sounds like it. I mean, I'm going to say something that's admittedly really, really stupid. Okay? I'm willing to do this at times, just put myself out there and be like, you're just really stupid. I just don't think it's a good use of the one life you've got to live to do that and then give yourself 20 years of prison. Like, that is a bad idea. Why do people do that? Just don't.
Yeah, it's hard to...
There are some really great things you can do out here that don't involve armed robberies and laundering money through casinos. Like, Of course, I understand that there's money involved and you can get money and you don't think you're going to get caught, but like, don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah, that's I would say I understand your sentiment there, but it's
not the most intelligent thing I've ever said because I get why people do it, but just like, don't. Just go get a job, do some work, enjoy a nice dinner here and there.
Yeah, obviously this guy has to be somewhat, not wealthy, but he has to have somebody. If he's a super fan, so obviously he's got season tickets every year.
Well,
I'm sure,
he's obviously got him. He's breaking into banks.
Okay, but I don't know that.
Why don't
he's
you just
always
go
been
work
breaking.
at the bank?
Maybe he could. Yeah, he could honestly. But
honest living.
That's tough, man. But
20 years in prison is so bad. That is a bad thing. That is. You have just cut a quarter of your life out.
That's true.
Not good.
Not good.
All right. Who's winning tonight, Chiefs or Ravens?
I'll take the Chiefs.
Give me the Ravens.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
I guess we will. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think I'm pulling for the Ravens, although the Ravens are in the division with the Bengals. What's a more reasonable thing for me to try to cheer for in week one? The Bengals getting home field over the Chiefs or the Bengals winning the division over the Ravens? I think it's probably the division.
Well, the more important thing, Hunt, is I think we need to bring Cassie in here real quick because there are rumors going around about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. There is a document, apparently.
I said this to my wife. She went crazy.
Breaking up. They're already breaking up September 29th. What's going on
here? Are
they
breaking up, Cassie? Is this true?
I honestly don't know.
Wow. Okay.
My wife
that's
was
great.
incensed. She was texting me in all caps. This is not true. Fake news. She was going nuts.
They will definitely hope so, at least.
My gosh, their
That's
investment
tough.
in Taylor Swift's love life is special. That's it for us here on Thursday. I'm going to check out for a minute here. We'll be at LeBear's tonight. Hopefully you'll come and see us at ESPN Bet if you missed any of the show. Catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We got a Football Friday coming up tomorrow. We'll have Preston Guy. We'll preview LSU Nichols and, of course, the Saints and the Panthers. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. Have a wonderful Thursday. Enjoy the football. See you tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.